Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast, Read My Feelings, which is an extension of my blog, Shant-Knows-It-All.com. This episode is called How My Baby Daddy Fixed My Credit in a Month. Just 3 months ago, I was sitting in a homeless shelter and I needed to find a place to live fast. And I knew my credit was bad, I had an eviction on my record, and it was a crisis situation. On September 18th, I joined C.H.E.S.S Credit Solutions, my daughter's dad's credit repair program. October 19th, my credit score had jumped 167 points. So I started at a 526 in September. It jumped to a 693 in October, and now I'm sitting at a pleasant 702 for Experian. He's had this program and been running this, all on his own for about 7 years or more. And I knew he had it from the beginning. I was there from the start, but I didn't jump in right away because I'm skeptical, probably like some of my listeners here. I knew I had to fix my credit for the longest, but when it became a dire situation, I let go of my want to do it on my own and I joined his program, and I'm really, really, really satisfied, and I want to help other people. I've already helped one friend who thought she was going to get an apartment, came back with an eviction, and came to me, right away and was like, hey, let's revisit this thing with your daughter's dad. Can you set me up with a meeting? Right after that, a few weeks later, I got a text saying, you're so blessed. Thank you so much. And I didn't really think I had, done anything big. I also got a referral, $50 from my daughter's dad, which I didn't expect because, I was just telling about the good things that happened to me. And he's always, asked me to spread this around or sell it, but I don't sell things that I don't believe in, and I wasn't fully bought in. I heard from multiple sources in my financial literacy course that I took for first time homeowners that you could settle your credit report on your own, you could write your own disputes. So I couldn't figure out why I needed to pay for something that I could potentially do on my own. I did all the research. I, finally figured out how to get my credit reports from annualcreditreports.com. I learned how to read them. I watched YouTubes and read books and tried to figure out how to write my own dispute letters, which I did. I had them in envelopes ready to go to the 3 bureaus. But the reality hit me that I really didn't know what I was saying or what I was trying to address. Just saying, hey, this is not my bill, wouldn't work without any documentation that I didn't have, and I wanted to move quickly. And, my daughter's dad, he always said that he could help me, and I never jumped on until it became necessary. And, that's what he explained to me after I had the results. He said, everyone is going to be a client eventually. He doesn't, get upset when people don't move because eventually they will need his product. So he's just there to educate them, have multiple conversations, and just help them over time until they're ready. And so I made this podcast because I want to encourage people to get ready faster. This is an invisible gift. It's not like buying a pair of shoes or, spending money getting your hair done or, even buying a blunt to smoke. It's an invisible gift that makes me feel so steady and happy and free. Like I have so many options. I can get whatever car I want. I could finally get an unsecured credit card now if I wanted to because my credit score is in a better position. Before this, I had never had my own credit card before. I always needed a cosigner to get a car. I always thought I had to come up with huge down payments, but now I have some leeway. I have to get assets because income follows assets. I know it's tax time coming around and people are going to get refunds, so I encourage them not to be short-sighted, not to try to put a down payment on a car that they're going to end up spending even more on with high interest rates because of bad credit, but instead to take a chunk of that money and really fix the core issue. I have a cousin that buys a used car off Facebook Marketplace every single time it's tax time. I have a friend right now who thinks her score might be around a 526 and she wants to go put $1,000 down and get a car. I work at a car dealership right now. It's really, really eye-opening. I know that your score has to be higher. I know what that does for interest rates. For example, a 6% interest rate on a $20,000 car for over 3 years your payment will be around 600, but at the end of the, car ownership, you will have paid interest at 1900, like less than 2000. That's a 6% loan. A 19% loan, and I chose that because that's where I was when I first got my buy here, pay here car. I signed into a 19% loan. At a $20,000 car again, in 3 years, you'll pay $733 a month, and the interest paid on the car will be over $6,000. But people be so excited to get a new car or to get approved at all that they don't care about that extra $6,000 that got added on, and that could have been for insurance or repairs when you need them. Can you imagine a car that doesn't work at a 19% rate that you're stuck with, and you still got to pay an extra $6,000 overpriced? At the car dealership, I have hopefuls, people that are like, oh, I don't know what my credit is, or I think I have bad credit, I don't want to run it, or can you just run it, see whatever I can get? And that's never the position you want to be in. That's a position that's powerless. It's the position that has been echoed since the beginning of the crisis for Black people with credit. It starts in sharecropping days. And on PBS, it says that after the Civil War, former slaves sought jobs and planters sought laborers. The absence of cash or an independent credit system led to the creation of sharecropping. And sharecropping is a system where the landlord planter allows a tenant to use the land in exchange for a share of the crop. This encouraged tenants to work to produce the biggest harvest they could and ensure they would remain tied to the land and unlikely to leave for the other opportunities. In the South, after the Civil War, many Black families rented land from white owners and raised cash crops such as cotton, tobacco, and rice. In many cases, the landlords or nearby merchants would lease equipment to the renters and offer seed, fertilizer, food, and other items on credit until the harvest season. At that time, the tenant and landlord or merchant would settle up, figuring out who owed whom and how much. High interest rates, unpredictable harvests, and unscrupulous landlords and merchants often kept tenant farm families severely indebted, requiring the debt to be carried over until the next year or the next. Laws favoring landowners made it difficult or even illegal for sharecroppers to sell their crops to others besides their landlord, or prevented sharecroppers from moving if they were indebted to their landlord. And that's where I was, indebted and unable to move. And that's where a lot of us are. The title of the article I just read on pbs.org about sharecropping is called Slavery by Another Name. I propose that bad credit is slavery by another name. It's the same thing, and we have to free ourselves. What's credit? It tells you how at risk you are to pay people back. And poor credit scores, 300 to low 600s. Fair to good credit scores, low 600s to mid 700s. That's where I'm at now, finally. Very good and excellent credit scores are above the mid 700s, and the highest score you can get is an 850. And let me tell you, at the car dealership, when people have a score of 800, they tell you right on the phone. They're so proud of it because they know, like, whatever they want, they can have. And I want that for you as well. You have to have a good credit score to be in the game. And I'm in the game now. It's like Love and Basketball. She says, come to play. Do you want to play? Do you want to be in this game to actually have things in life and not just be looking for immediate gratification, or just hoping and wishing for one day that you can pay for something but never having enough to save up to get to it? On inequality.org, I read an article dated in 2016 about who owns almost all America's land, and it said the 5 largest landowners in America are all white and own more rural land than all of Black America combined. It said that African Americans, despite making up 13% of the population, own less than 1% of rural land in the country. The combined value of this land, $14 billion. White Americans, by comparison, own more than 98% of U.S. land, amounting to 856 million acres with a total worth of over $1 trillion. You gotta own assets for income to follow. If we don't have not just a house, but a stake in the society, you'll never grow or have generational wealth. And you don't want to put your kids in the same situation that you're in. You gotta get them out of this rat race. Add them as authorized users on your credit card as you build your credit to build their own. There are a lot of different tips to make you successful, and I want to share them with you. So I'm starting a group, not just to funnel you to my daughter's dad's C.H.E.S.S Credit Solutions repair system, but just to talk with you and help you get there when you're ready. Find out what's holding you back, find out what questions you have, and we will both meet with you and both talk to you. My daughter's dad is an Aries, he's fire, and I'm an Aquarius. I communicate and give water and help people, but I'm also an air sign, so I blow that fire, and I would like to blow his fire. He's named it C.H.E.S.S because it says changing how everyone sees success, and I really, really feel like he did that for me. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about how I met my daughter's dad and the joke he told me. My daughter says the joke's not funny. A lot of people have said it's not, and I'm even going to include a poll on this podcast for you to tell me whether or not this joke was funny. But I met him in a strip club, right? And it was the first time I had ever been to a strip club, but I really wanted to go. Me and my best friend had tried in Boston and found out that single women can't just enter into a strip club. They have to be escorted or have a guy with them. And I was dating this guy for a while. He was in the army. He was pretty insecure about things. Like, he was insecure about the same things I'm insecure with, so it doesn't really work. I remember we went to a comedy show. He didn't want to sit in the front because he's dark skinned. He didn't want to be picked on. I actually got called Cicely Tyson or something by a comic once, but I got over it. So I really like people that face their fears. I like people that have a background like me, with inspiration and growth and education to go further. But I do like a little past. I like something to, feel familiar with. So I'm in the strip club. We get there and I tell this guy, I'm like, hey, let's separate because I want to be free. I'm like, let's see how many numbers we each can get in this club just so I could, roam around. And my daughter's dad sits down next to me and my cousin at the table, and he comes over and, I tell him I'm home for the summer from a science internship at, college that I got into. And so I'm just here for a little while before I go back to school. And, I'm in cognitive neuroscience and I'm really smart, and we're talking. He's a nice guy. And he tells me this joke. He says there's 3 scientists and they're traveling through the desert, and they are hungry, they are tired, they are hot, they are thirsty. And one is carrying a gallon of water, the other one's carrying a loaf of bread, and the third scientist is carrying a car door. So as they're walking, they get really hungry. And so, the scientist that has the bread, they toast it on the sand because it's hot. I thought that part was funny. So they toast the bread and they eat it and they're full. They keep walking and they're like, man, we're really thirsty. So the dude with the gallon of water, that scientist, which, he made catered to me as a scientist. So he gives them the water, they drink, and they're no longer thirsty. And then they both turn to the third scientist and they say, man, why are you even carrying that car door? And he says, in case it gets really hot, I can roll the window down. When my current boyfriend, got the nerve to actually come up to the table where, it was a foursome now, me, my cousin, my daughter's dad to be, and his best friend or cousin or whatever, he comes up and he's like, hey, you ready to go? And my daughter's dad is like, no, this is my girl now. She's leaving with me. And I didn't leave with him, but I thought it was really cool and aggressive that he knew what he wanted and he got it. And, that's what he's always been like. He's always been a go-getter. And in sales, he has the gift of gab, like his mom. That was the first time I ever heard that term, the gift of gab, because this guy can sell anything. He likes to sell. He's always the top performer for sales, and he always invited me to get into sales, but I didn't really want to do it. He was selling computer technology at one point, and I was working in computer technology and understood it. So he was like, you would make so much more money than me because you actually understand it. And, that's what makes a difference between us when it comes to sales. I don't look at sales as, I'm trying to be a top performer to get money. It just kind of naturally happens for me because I really don't focus on urgency. I look at it as, people buy from people they like. I learned that in sales, but I also learned that you can take a more consultative approach. It's kind of like helping someone pick out a pair of jeans, because technology is way faster than a salesperson. Like, people look through the different options and they're trying to find the one that fits for them. And so that's what I really like to do. I like to find the one that fits for that person. But I do applaud my daughter's dad because he has been in this business for so many years that listened to podcasts and networked with different people and worked under mentors and, hired different partners and affiliates to work with him. And so he's really got a solid knowledge of how he can help now and what you have to do to repair your credit. And he never promises that, you'll get the same result as everyone else, but he does promise to hold on to you and to keep working with you until it is fixed. And I promise to get you educated and find every resource we can for your specific situation. So I want you to change your life by just doing one simple thing. We're not asking you to buy anything. And he doesn't even know I'm recording this, but I want you to email Dreamer, Dreamer, you're a dreamer, at Shant-Knows-It-All.com. That's the email. Just go on your cell phone right now and send me a quick email and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more, or I want someone to talk to me. When you're ready, as I learned with myself, you will go. And Shant-Knows-It-All.com. I originally didn't ever like the nickname Shant because it is the contraction for shall not, like, can't do. And that's not me. I do. I follow through on all my promises. I learn whatever there is and help people get whatever they need to get. And if I don't know it, I have such a large network that I can always reach out for information and help. I believe that I can speak to anyone I want to, and I learned that through sales. Shant-Knows-It-All.com. I don't know it all, and that's what's, the play on it, because a wise person knows that they know nothing at all. But what I do know is that I can learn anything, I can help anyone, and I can help anyone else learn what they need to help themselves. So write Dreamer at Shant-Knows-It-All.com just so you can let me know that you're interested in what you can do about your credit, and we'll go from there for whatever you need. A lot of people don't want to fix their credit because credit repair agencies cost a lot, or they're not sure that the results will come and they just got ripped off. That's what my financial literacy counselor assumed would happen to me. And so she was really surprised that, I fixed my credit so fast. And, that's not the case here. We work with people. He works with people on a case-by-case basis, works on different payment plans. And I also work with people to budget and to save. I created a budget sheet that I will share with you for free. Eventually, I wanted to sell this thing, but now I know that, for anyone to reach their dream or at least come to the level where they can make plans, they got to just use my budget sheet. I learned about creating the budget sheet when I worked temporarily for a new startup, and the guy was trying to fix mobile banking and to stop people from doing overdraft fees by actually showing them what they could spend. Researching with him, I learned that banks were making like billions of dollars on overdraft fees, and you just not knowing where your money was. At a previous startup, I had learned that mint.com was an option to, budget track. I know someone on Facebook the other day was talking about Rocket Money, so I checked that out. But none of them do what I set out to do for my budget sheet. It's perfect for me. It has worked for my mom, and I made it probably like 7 or 8 years ago and have been making iterations and improving it. And I think it could really help you because it's made for people that aren't budgeting with a lot of money. It's made for people that were poor like me. You could not have any money at all or be getting like food or cash assistance, maybe even child support, but you could still see how your spending this month can affect months and months out. My tagline I thought was going to be like, this is a budget sheet for people that make partial payments and payment arrangements. Mint.com and stuff. Yeah, they, you set out your complete budget, but I can never really auto pay stuff because I have to break it into pieces. And so I made this budget sheet so that you could categorize the things that you really have to pay versus the things that are secondary items versus the things, and this is the best part, that are wish list items that are way out or things that you don't even understand. And I got that idea from reading Getting Things Done by David Klein. And to get anything done, you just have to know the next action. And to stop your brain from obsessing and not really moving anywhere, you have to put down everything that you want. You have to do a mind dump and then work backwards from there. So, what's your end goal? I have things on my budget sheet that are way out, like take a vacation with my daughter or pay somebody back their money, or student loans. They're not on my credit report, but I know that I owe like thousands of dollars, so it's on there. And I feel satisfied with the fact that it's on the budget sheet, that it's accounted for, so my brain doesn't have to keep thinking about it. And I can budget not only what I have for this month, but months and months out. At making $15 an hour, I was still able to save $5,000 for months with this budget sheet, because not only do I plan the budget, but I also can see what happens as I'm spending against what I've budgeted for that month. So I would love to share my sheet with you and show you how to use it. When I first started, it was a lot harder to use, but after I took a data analytics course earlier in the spring of 2024, I learned how to do some more things with pivot tables and have automated it so that you can, create categories. Things like, you're going to get a refund back from Amazon, or someone gives you cash, or you have just, a one-time gift that you made for someone. Those things aren't covered by normal budget sheets. I would like you to be able to plan months and months out to see, if I buy this wig this month for my birthday, will I be able to pay rent this month and next month, and how can I change it? Your first priority on the budget sheet is, rent, transportation, medical bills, things that are high priority that you have to pay. The second level shows you your budget and how much you would have to spend if you started spending things that are kind of just eating out, or things that are not necessary but that you do spend on. And then, like I mentioned, the third tertiary level are wish list items, or things that you want to get to, and you can include them in your budget when you get to them. So again, I'm going to share my email, dreamer@Shant-Knows-It-All.com, SHANT knows-it-all, one word.com. If you would like to get a copy of this budget sheet and start working with it, or if you would like to get a copy of the sheet and spend 15 minutes with me setting it up so that you can use it. It's a great sheet. You can include income from multiple people, like, what's dad's income, what's mom's income, what's, the fifth week paycheck that comes, as a bonus payment for this month. You can include all that. And like I mentioned, you can include refunds and reimbursements. And then you can also, track every single thing you need for months and months out. It's called My Life, My Budget, because your budget and your life are just so in sync. They're so necessary. You can't move forward if you don't have savings, if you don't know where your money is going, if you're just keeping a mental picture of it in your head or writing it down on little pieces of note paper. Money is fungible. So in your head, you can say, oh yeah, this money's for that. But if you get something else, you'll say, oh, that same money is for something else. So you really, really, really have to have a clear picture if you want to move forward. And so I want to help you with that. And hopefully, if you're not getting a tax refund or you don't want to use it for that, I can help you with this sheet to save a little savings so that you can get your credit fixed. That's what I did. And that's what I'd like to help you do as well. So let's get out this rat race. They say money can't, fix everything, can't make you happy. But my mom told me one time, yeah, but if you get an influx of money, don't you jump out of bed that day when you could be really depressed, but when your check comes, don't you, jump up and you're happier now that you have freedom to do what you want? So I'd like to read you a piece that will soon be posted on Shant-Knows-It-All.com called Antidepressants Don't Work, You Just Hate Your Job. By at Chantal writes, after years of neuroscience research, I began this blog, once validated by Johann Hari's Why You're Depressed and How to Find Hope. It starts. My favorite line from the movie Office Space, Peter Gibbons. So, I was sitting in my cubicle today, and I realized ever since I started working, every single day of my life has been worse than the day before it. So that means that every single day that you see me, that's on the worst day of my life. Dr. Swanson. What about today? Is today the worst day of your life? Peter Gibbons. Yeah. Dr. Swanson. Wow, that's messed up. Laissez-faire. To believe the American dream, you have to be asleep. Malcolm X. In 8th grade, I realized that I didn't sign the social contract to work for the rest of my life. I realized we weren't free. Perhaps it would have been better if I had realized 20 years later like Peter. Well, I guess not. I still hit the wall at the same age. I still thought I could beat the system if I just played the game first. But when workers gamble, the house wins. Laissez-faire in French means leave to do, so laissez-faire capitalism means leave the people to do their business without the government interference you'd see in communism or socialism. Capitalism is supposed to bubble and then burst. See, after an economic depression, people are forced to reinvent themselves and to create new products and services. The old way, like rapidly approving high-risk housing loans, will eventually garner attention and need for regulation, so the government can't leave them to do it anymore. A depression ironically makes it very clear that poverty is an illusion. COVID made it very clear that we were being robbed of something more, time at home. I'm not the only one to wonder where all the stipend and Ukraine support money came from, since it's not backed by gold, it's infinite. Money is energy only because it can have the power to motivate you or to paralyze you. How could paper and numbers on an ATM screen have the ability to control supreme reasoning beings on this big rock floating in space? How could not having it stop your ability to create your future? Connection is the cure. Being disempowered is frustrating. Frustration leads to depression and then isolation. You need friends. If that seems impossible, talk to me. I can talk with anyone and make it fun. Isolation is the dream killer, not your attitude. Barbara Sher. What if we made you do what you want to do? Society already makes you do what you have to do. We need success teams. Antidepressants don't work on kids because they don't buy the story. They are not in control, and their purpose is influenced by parents trying to live through them or failing to respect them as little adults. If they were in charge of themselves, perhaps they could believe that they could bring more excitement to their work, their gym, their relationships. Parent yourself first. You was kind, you was smart, you was important. Finally, I'll say that it's up to you to move now. Proverbs 14, verse 23 says, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. I really don't want to be in poverty anymore.
Do you? Or do you want to drive what you want, live where you want, and do what you want, and for your kids to have the same? Hashtag free him, hashtag free her, hashtag free you from bad credit slavery.